Thank you so much. We like to say that not that Slovenia is a small country, but that Slovenia is the size, just the right size country, which actually means that you can implement good policies very quickly, and that also innovation is very much encouraged. Like it was said, Slovenia and Slovenians, we grow up with sustainability. And so it was no surprise that our capital, Ljubljana, was named the first European greenest city. And if you visit it, you would very quickly notice that the city center is close to the traffic, that we use bicycles as one of the important means of transportation, that you have many electric buses in the city center. So there are many initiatives and incentives to become even more greener. And also, just a few months later, in the spring of 2017, National Geographic announced Slovenia as the most sustainable country in the world. And why is that? I think that sustainability is actually in our genes. We grow up with the awareness of the environment and sustainability. And that actually starts in school. And I'm very happy that one of the panelists earlier mentioned that you have to teach, educate people, you have to raise awareness. And when I was growing up, for example, it was very common that we were collecting the newspapers, old newspapers, and then selling it for recycling. That we were exchanging bottles. So if you wanted to buy an oil, a bottle of oil, you had to bring back the old one. And for example, every school had to have one day, Environment Day, when we went outside and we cleaned our environment. So Slovenia is, as a result, a very clean country. Of course, this kind of recycling has changed today, and I would say it's more individually based. And one thing Slovenia is very successful at is waste management. And it's more or less, I would say, based more on the individual, I would say household levels, and everybody has to divide biodegradable, plastic, paper, glass, and so on. And if you don't do it in such a way, you actually have to pay the fine. And what happens that after a few years, everybody is doing it. So the recycling then becomes also much, much easier. We are also very famous for the protection of nature. I think around 40% of our territory is actually kind of a national park, and over 65% is covered by forest. I think in Europe we are the second most forested country after Finland. And this comes from, as long as I remember, very well managed forest policy. So like in Delhi, for example, it's very difficult to cut the trees. Also in my country for decades, if not for 100 years, you always have to get permission. So the management of the forest, even if it's in a private hands, is very well supervised. The same is with water management. Slovenia is rich in water resources. Of course, due to industrialization, we also went through the problem of water pollution, but along the way, we found very good innovative solutions, very good management of rivers and so on. And I can proudly say that, for example, when I go back home, I don't need to buy a bottle of water because I can drink it from my tap. The same goes with protection of cultural heritage, and it doesn't matter whether it's tangible or non-tangible. So I think it was it came as no surprise to the Slovenians that this sustainable way of living also transitioned into the business field. So if we can have the video.
Committed to the environment and the future of its people, Slovenia breathes in complete sync with nature. Its green qualities, creative talent, and smart solutions have been the driving force of a nation determined to develop ideas others think are impossible. With its eco-friendly economy, which encompasses everything from sustainable development to green technologies and corporate social responsibility, Slovenia has become the fifth EU country in the field of eco-innovations and remains among the best in the world in terms of environmental health. It may be small in size, but it is big in its achievements, because Slovenia's sustainable character enables local enterprises to write successful business stories without harming 50% of the land's protected natural territory. Slovenia's green companies are not only changing people's habits with environmentally friendly plastic solutions, but also setting the industry trend with new materials and unconventional solutions in ecological footwear design. With non-invasive architectural masterpieces and optimal logistics solutions for businesses and the environment, they are showing that a small country can do big things for the planet. Besides being a treasure trove of green thinking, Slovenia is also a driving force in sustainable construction. Today, its companies continue to build an eco-friendlier world with the first nearly zero-emission active houses and self-sufficient buildings that produce, store, and distribute their own energy. By combining beehive specs with science, Slovenia's companies tap into the healing benefits of nature and improve people's well-being with bee-based supplements. Slovenia wouldn't be green without its thoughtful, committed, and talented people, who are always striving to achieve sustainable change. Contribute to a better world and grow with Slovenia, a land of infinite potential for your business. Make the most of it.
Thank you. So, how did we achieve this? I think it's important, like we heard earlier, that there are the right government policies. And as many other countries, also Slovenian government introduces subsidies every now and then. But I think the important emphasis here is that these subsidies are usually available only at the early stages. So in kind of to promote the sustainable approaches of living to the consumers. And once this is adopted by the consumers, these subsidies are no longer available. In the past, for example, we started with the solar panels for the roofs. Back home, many houses have solar panels. Also, for example, my parents' house. And this actually provides us all the energy necessary during the summer months. Another thing which also government offers is for the electrical vehicles subsidies. So you pay lower price at the market price, but as I emphasized earlier, it's only in the early stages, not for a longer period of time. Then the most recent program, which the government offers to the companies to kind of encourage sustainable, innovative solutions, is the Sustainable and Circular Transformation Program, which will run all the way to 2026. And it gives a lot of attention to the small and medium enterprises. And through this, they offer many free online workshops, many technical skillings. And I think so far, it started in 2020. Of course, there was pandemic, so it a bit slowed down, but until today I read that I think around 60 companies are already very well skilled in sustainable way of doing business. Also, what we do, we promote successful companies as ambassadors of Slovenian economy. And that is mainly done by Chamber of Commerce, and the key partner here is the agency Spirit, which takes care of investment and of business development in Slovenia. A little bit more about ambassadors I'll tell you later. And of course, we are also driven by the EU and European Commission policies and initiatives. This, I would say, is an added value to what our government does, and probably you are all aware that the last budget, which was adopted by the European Commission, and that is European Union, has a big chunk of money dedicated to the Green Deal. And just to add, I would like to introduce a few success stories. More you can find on the webpage of Spirit Agency. I mentioned Pipistrel and Iskra Meko because they are already present in the Indian market. Pipistrel, not with electrical airplanes. The first step for them to enter was to offer ultralight aircraft for training of your defense pilots, but you should know that they are very advanced in electrical aviation. Actually, they had the first full electrical aircraft in the world. Another company is Iskra Meko. They actually have an office here in India, in Kolkata, and they are very good at smart electrical meters. Then you also saw in Video Plastica Skaza. Apart from the very sustainable plastical products, they also invented a compost bin which helps deal with the waste. Then we have Living Lab that tries to find solutions about mobility, water management, energy management, but more about that you will hear from our representative later on. So please come and listen to him. Just to end my presentation, we also have kind of a sustainable approaches in agriculture. Apart from the fact that Slovenia is actually one of the rare countries where I would say urbanization does not advance at a very high speed. As far as I remember, our capital always had around 320,000 population. We are altogether 20 lakhs. So, but you know, we live in a countryside, most of us, because it's very close and very well connected, and everybody has its own garden. So we produce a lot of food which we eat at home, but we also have successful companies which try to take the advantage of the local circumstances, local situation. And as you can see, for example, tomato, they produce in a part where they have geothermal waters. So they use this kind of a source to advance their systems. They use natural predators for pest control instead of chemicals. They use also bumblebees to pollinate, and it all ends with also a very sustainable packaging. So if you want to hear many more success stories, please visit the Spirit webpage. And of course, I'm also available for any answers to your questions. Thank you so much.